Hi, everyone. It's 7:16. I'm now calling the Sherborn Conservation Commission meeting of June 15th, 2023 to order. I'll do it this way. I'll move to open the meeting. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, and then no further discussion? Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Just announce your name and I. Michael Lesser, aye.
Jacob Strauss, aye.
Kurt Stiegel, aye.
Courtney Eck, aye.
Okay, we've got a quorum here. Okay, reviewing the agenda, are there any special items that are we didn't know about that we need to add it under the 48-hour rule?
There's one plan modification that I've added to agent.
So that's just under this, we could do that under the site issues.
Yep.
Okay, fine. So we don't have to amend the agenda.
You don't think we should amend it? We're gonna discuss it.
Because yeah, because it's under site issues is always open-ended. Site issues is whatever issues the agent has and that she wants to talk about.
Are we gonna need to vote on it?
Yes,
So then we should add it.
Oh. Okay, it's actually, does it require a vote?
I don't know that it requires a vote. It's a site plan modification where what was proposed got smaller. I want to send a letter out. I just wanted to inform the commission before I did that.
Okay, right, I just have a little trouble whether it's what makes it a 48-hour urgency.
Something that isn't on the agenda. It can be whatever you would like it to be.
Let's see if we can avoid the vote, because I don't like adding stuff like that under the agenda that we don't have that it isn't an urgent issue. Because I don't think that, from what I saw of this is not an urgent issue that if we need to vote on it, we could put it into next time's agenda. I don't think it's not gonna change anything. So let's just handle it that way. Okay, so we're gonna do the agenda as posted here. I'll give you, and so we're waiting at 7:20. We have the hearing on the reg changes. I will give it a little advance notice on that due to a lot of work issues and some other stuff, I didn't get to finish a sort of a new draft and get it out in time, people, so that we don't just sit here discussing stuff on the screen. So I'm gonna propose, after I open the hearing, that we could just continue it to the next meeting, in which case we'll get something out before then, so we could be more prepared and have a more substantive discussion. Since we have a lot of things to talk about tonight, we can just get that done instead. I think it'll be a better use of our time, and I apologize for not having something to you guys earlier. Okay, it's 7:20. I am now reopening our continued hearing on beginning work on drafts for our regulation changes. Okay, I'll repeat, I guess, Steve, you were just coming in, that due to work issues and other things, I did not get out to you guys in some time ahead, a sort of a new sort of working draft that would be better discussed as a group. Oops, I'm gonna admit, I'll stop. So Matt's here too. I'll let him until Matt connects before I say much more. Okay, hi, Matt.
Hello.
And for the record, I guess Matt Olivier is here, and Steve Scrimshaw. I guess with the Zoom stuff, I don't know whether when people come in later, whether we have to more formally announce who's here. as I was saying to everybody, and I'll say to Steve, to you, Steve and Matt, that due to work issues, I didn't get out a draft to you, a new working draft. And so I'm proposing that we continue this hearing till next time, in which case I'll get something out ahead of time that we can then better discuss. And without going through this sort of line by line on the screen. And I guess you, Matt, I think owe me, if you had any edits from that last meeting. Whoops, he ran away.
I was doing a paper copy.
What?
No, I do, honestly, I have a couple, but I'm not, I need a lesson from Kurt on redlining, which I'm a little embarrassed to say. So I figured it was probably easier to just tell you, but now that we've got another couple weeks, we'll work it out.
Fine, and I'm more than happy to, if you need help too, whether you, redlining, I guess, is maybe some sort of legally thing, but versus track edits, which the rest of us call it.
Let's just say I should know. And
Yeah,
Kurt-
okay, right, it's okay. You're now on public record, so about that disability. But that's something that you can easily overcome. So any one of us, I think, could help you with that. So you just let us know who you feel the best about doing it with. So we'll go from there. And so, yeah, and so we can talk and get the stuff from you as part of the next thing there. So unless anybody has any particular thoughts about the reg changes or things they want to talk about, I'm prepared to continue the hearing. Do I hear any topics of anything that anybody wants to bring up shy of waiting?
Nope.
Okay. Joyce, and Deborah. At our next, do we have anything scheduled for our next meeting? This is on July 6th, everybody. Are people going to be around? It's later in the week, but I just want to make sure that,
That was the big question because Monday is a holiday, the 4th of July. I just wanted to be sure that people plan to attend or we're.
Monday is not it's Tuesday is actually the holiday. I think.
I meant to, sorry, Tuesday.
I just want to make sure on July 7th, are people able to attend? I can. Anybody who cannot?
July 6th.
July 6th, yes,
Yeah, I should be here. Yep.
okay.
I'll be here.
Okay, so July 6th is going to be our next meeting. Haven't heard much. Do we have anything that we have to schedule on that day or we do the usual where we schedule this first? And if we need to move things in, we could always continue it till later in the night.
Deborah, I didn't see anything come in yesterday,
No, there's nothing pending.
so we don't have, nothing new came in.
Okay, but it's an extra, this one has,
Oh, yeah,
it's an extra week, so there's still, things can show up. But I'm tempted to just do it till, continue it to 7:20 next time. And we can either do it, and if need be, we could start it, and then if we have something that's urgent to do earlier, we can always continue this discussion till later in the night. So let's do it for 7:20. I move to continue this hearing to 7:20 on July 6th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Kurt,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
Okay. Let's then move on to our list of various site issues. Let's start with the site issues. We have other discussion items, but why don't we get the site issues covered, Joyce?
so are you referring to the site issues I mentioned earlier?
Any one of the site issues that, any of the
so there's a
discussion
minor-
items that we have and site issues.
For 3 Prospect Street, if you recall 3 Prospect Street with the house and the isolated wetland out back,
Yep,
they have an amended site plan. But what they did was they made the house smaller. And I would not normally bring this up to you, except that I bring everything to you. So I believe that if this does require, because any change to the plan, we have said if there's any change to the plan, they have to bring it to our attention. So I'm just sharing. You able to see my screen?
Yep,
So what was approved is this dark line here,
the double line.
the double line. What they're proposing is this red one. Without, see how the jogs?
So
It
it's
sits within-
smaller in every sense.
Yes.
Okay,
So what I would do is send out a letter that said we are in receipt of their revised plan and that that we recognize this, the plan of this modified date as the design plan.
I guess, do we have to, I can't tell for something that's clearly better. What do we do? I mean, historically.
Oftentimes, if somebody's making something smaller, you won't see it until the as-built.
Right. Or alternatively, we did it like a very minor change, in which case we don't have a new hearing and we just accept,
there would
we
be
just
no-
voted in as a minor change. I don't know what, I mean, most of the people here are new. I don't know, Courtney, what do you think we should do? Or anybody in terms of, I mean, since it wasn't on the agenda, we could always, this is not affecting anything in the meanwhile, we could always move it.
Well,
to
they're
the
trying to
next
go
agenda.
forward and get their construction plan.
What's that?
Get their permitting.
Right, but did they need our formal whatever from us to get that? I don't think so.
That
Jim.
wasn't stated to me, that we just received an email and this is our response to it.
Right,
Normally, any permits require conservation approval also. I don't know if the building department is asking for a revised AA, I don't know the answer.
right. In this case, it wouldn't be, it would just be the fact that it's part of the existing order. I don't know. What do you think, Courtney, or anybody else about this is? I mean, I think normally we kind of might do it as a minor change and vote on it, which means we should just put it on the next agenda. Do you have any 2 cents?
We would always vote on something like that. The agent wouldn't deal with that.
I mean, it's
I
such a,
would,
yeah,
yeah, I would say that the agents could act on something like this where it's smaller than what was proposed.
Right,
We just look for a plan so that we know when we go out to look at something
yeah,
that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's
there.
better than if it's more favorable than what we approved, wouldn't it fall within our approval? Because it's
It-
more favorable?
Right,
yeah. I would think that the agent is empowered to deal with that. But
I guess it's based on talking to us, really, because in the end of it could have less impact, but involve some other kind of work in other ways, so that in this case, it's just so clear cut. That right, I guess we could just put it in the file and it'll be fine, so that. Yeah, I don't think we need to do anything in this case.
well, okay.
Other than acknowledge that it's there, and if it comes up that the building department wants something in particular, then put it on the next agenda. In fact, you could put it as on the next agenda just to play it safe. And yeah, part of it is put it on the next agenda formally. It doesn't, since it doesn't fit under the 40, it's not holding up anything at this point.
I'm not saying it's not holding up anything. I was just going to send out a letter that says we're in receipt of their revised plan and it falls within the footprint of what was approved.
Okay,
sounds good.
so that sounds
Yep,
good.
that sounds good to me.
Okay, and just in case, just put it on the next agenda, just in case it comes up as an issue. And we could do something there. Okay. Next item.
The only other things that I have are the AAs that were on the list. We had an AA for a solar array at 91 South Main Street. I talked to the homeowner. It's a very large property. There was no sketch of anything. He's really just starting his journey into this. So I sent him out a couple of Mass GIS plans so he could sketch where he's thinking of starting. I don't believe there's any place he can get out of the wetland, but it's all open area. There'd be no trees that needed to come down. But again, this just starts him in thinking about what he's doing. So I have not issued an AA on that. I have not done a denial yet because I'm gonna walk the property with him once he gets an idea of where he wants to put it. If it's anywhere in the buffer zone, of course, it can't be an AA. 137 South Main is another distribution box. Something that's going on in Sherborn where all the distribution boxes are falling apart. And then that was approved, and 212 Farm Street was soil tested. And those are it.
Okay, when you walk the 91 South Main, I somewhat know, I think that's Bob Bunton, I guess, that you can let him know if he wants to talk about his solar work and issues around it, that he can contact me and I can wear my,
Okay, I did tell him that he would be delighted that he was thinking of it.
yes, and I could talk to him about it wearing my other hat on the Energy and Sustainability Committee. Okay,
That's all I have.
okay, then maybe we just go down the discussion items and we see what people here. So you said Gary is here for, you're here for the
The
COC. Since we
That
have
it?
it here. And why don't we take that up while Gary's here now?
I'm looking. Is this the one that Joyce is gonna sign out for, or?
I don't know, why? Joyce, you can't? I can't hear you. You're muted. I don't
I'm
know.
sorry, I can't, it's one of mine.
Yeah,
Oh, has anybody looked at this or?
I looked at it, so I will do my best.
Okay, do you want me to pull up the two different plans, the before and after? I have them on my
That
screen.
would be great.
Okay, fine. I will show both. Okay, just give me 1 second here. Let's see. Okay,
This,
screen here.
this permit was from quite a while back. I believe Jean was the agent at the time. Way back in the way back.
Do people see two
Huge.
sketches side by side?
Yes, you got the side by side.
Yes.
Okay. Good. In roughly a similar scale.
Right, so I don't know if anybody had a chance to read the letter from Rob,
Good.
his request, so buffer zone restoration area 1. This is slightly larger than initially depicted, so it's slightly larger in the as-built. I'm not. Wait, let me see, buffer zone area 1, so that's 521 square feet in the as-built,
All right.
and then looks like
440 in the other.
440. And then in the buffer zone restoration area 2, this is smaller than the original plan to be restored. So that's one difference between the original and the as-built conditions. The other thing to note is that there's a pretty extensive list of, seed mixes and plant species that were going to be planted. But in the narrative provided, the homeowner said that he had trouble with deer consuming the plantings, and so he has planted other things. And I had mentioned to Rob, I don't think his field crew could identify what the plants that were planted, because as you can see, we get blueberries that were ID'd, but then everything else is ornamental grass, shrub, tree. Rob has been very busy, so we haven't been able to touch base yet to do a site walk together. But maybe also the homeowner can supply the list of things that he planted. But those are the main questions or differences between the original plan and the current as-built conditions.
Were there any other, besides these issues of the mitigation here, is there any other issues in the order of condition that we need to, I didn't look at it. Were
I
there
mean,
any-
a lot of it was like cleanup, and like that part of that, the driveway was removed, and like that was all done, as far as I'm aware.
So in terms of compliance with the order, it's really just the outstanding issue about the plantings and the
Yeah.
fact that the area, that the restoration area is significant, is less than was in the plan.
Right, and we also, I don't know what was planted as of now. It was supposed to be native species, but I don't know what was on the list. I believe he put in more physical plants than were on the original planting plan. It's just a smaller area.
Right, yeah, that's a concern. Okay, Gary, did you want to answer or add anything before we might have any questions or something? And you're muted. The lower left, usually on Zoom, it's in the lower left.
Sometimes it's hard when
I got it. So I sent several letters to the commission regarding the change of plant material. Do you have those letters? I mean, we have copies of the letters, but do you have them on file?
I don't know, we can, Deborah, maybe we can pull the file this week.
So this is not new to me. I'm in the commercial landscape business. I do conservation work all the time, and when I was notified by the commission on 2 occasions, one I remember 2012 and another time in 2017, which I had thought this had been resolved, and my attorney Eric was on the line with this as well. But there was notification to the commission that plants were being changed, and also what plants were being changed. And the reason was the deer. I mean, spending thousands and thousands of dollars on plant material and having the deer come out there and destroy them after 2 times is just too expensive to deal with. And notifying the board that changes were made. No one contacted me about coming out and doing a site visit. I would have thought much before, 18, 20 years later, we'd have that site visit. I mean, and there's a lot of change that took place, just deer over time, stuff that we planted has come down from storms, etc. I'm sure I could dig through my file and find exactly what was planted or close to what was planted. But the board was notified twice of changes in the plant material.
What about the, I mean, that's, for me at the moment, we could just normally at the end, when we get a certificate of compliance request, we do a site visit, so
Mhm.
we have to do that.
Yeah,
But-
no, I get it. I get it. I have
Yeah,
no
no,
problem.
I'm just gonna ask about, I was just gonna bring up maybe the bigger issue of the difference in the total area of restoration.
That I was not aware, unless we saw something on the plan differently. I didn't realize it was that much smaller when Joyce brought it up to me. But it's something that if we have to, we'll deal with it accordingly. I mean, I have no problem dealing with an issue if it has to be dealt with. But,
Okay,
so it's, that is what it is. If we have to do something in regard to that, no problem, but,
okay, then why don't we, then I would suggest that,
That's it.
what's that? What are you gonna say, Courtney, before?
I
go?
said we'll schedule a site visit and, it doesn't, not just me.
All right. We can have a site visit where and see what commissioners show up, and we could try to work out what it is about the area issue. And just check on the plants that they have, that they're there and reasonable. And we'll go look in our files, but I think at this point, assuming it's reasonably planted up, it's just a matter of then just seeing how we adjust for the change in area
Mhm.
and whether we can just figure out something that'll work for everybody. And so I guess the next step I'd say is just, let's have a site visit and then we can work out what we need to do to get this thing done.
okay.
That sounds good. This is Erica. I'm on
Hi.
I'm Gary's legal counsel and just here observing this. Is it something that we could set down in our calendars now? Since everyone that
Oh, yeah, right, there's a
is
bunch of.
participating is here and just get it in
There's
the,
only one member who's not here, and we could try to see what we could do it, but I guess what we could see how many members, doesn't have to be everybody, but we at least need some set of us, because often it's the agent, but in this case, we're acting as our own agent. Are you guys are fairly flexible? Gary and Erica, whatever.
Yeah,
You're flexible.
I can make myself available.
Okay, then I guess it's on us without doing a Google schedule thingy. Let's see if people can unmute themselves and we could try to pick a time in the next couple of weeks. What works for? I work out of the house, so I'm a little bit more flexible. I don't know what some of the other folks, Matt, Kurt, what kind of times work for you, whether it's a weekday or a weekend or something?
For me, Mondays and Fridays would be best.
Mm-hmm.
Early, beginning of the day or end of the day, but or lunchtime, I guess, but I also have some flexibility.
So Mondays, Fridays, like does,
I guess if it's at
Right.
all possible, sorry to interject, but if it's possible to get the site visit sooner rather than later. And I know Gary will accommodate anyone's schedules. Because I'm correct that the commission is going to meet again on the 6th and then not again until the 20th. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Yeah, so if we could get the site visit in so that we could be part of the meeting on the 6th. If
That's
that,
what we're trying to do. We're trying to do it for next.
yeah, that would be ideal.
Trying to do it before the next meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if there's an urgency on the to get the certificate of compliance. Because if there's some new work that has to be done, then obviously that'll have to be accomplished before. I don't know if you have.
There is a bit of urgency, but these things all fall beyond one another. So if we need to do some work, knowing what, knowing that we have
okay.
to do additional work and then knowing the scope of it sooner rather than later is.
Yeah,
still-
no, I just wanted to make sure that it's not like we're gonna give you a certificate after we meet and say, oh, next meeting is.
No,
like,
I
Okay, I just wanted to be clear, since you never know what misunderstandings can
no,
arise.
no, but I.
I'm gonna say to people, like, if I don't know, if Matt, what your thing is like, or for others, let's say we're trying to do something on Friday, the 23rd, a week from tomorrow, means for some people.
I know that Rob Truex isn't available on Friday. I don't know if you want him present or not, Mr. Goldman.
Whoops, couldn't hear you.
Is that what we're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, can we do the visit without Rob?
Erica, don't you, I mean, I know conservation, but don't you think someone from the engineering firm has to be there, Erica?
That would be beneficial, because if Gary were just
Yeah.
a
So-
layman, we wouldn't even be having this discussion,
Right,
so
but
I think
Fridays,
it's appropriate.
Fridays are not good, but other weekdays could work.
Okay, so Kurt's got a Monday, Friday thing, unless we try to do a weekend thing. I don't know if we try to do the Monday, the 20, I mean, I guess my Monday, next Monday is pretty booked.
Is the
26th.
19th, is the 19th out for people?
Yes, that's out. It's a
Yeah.
holiday, it's a holiday and it's also, it's the new holiday.
Oh, that's right.
I could do Thursday, the 22nd.
Uh,
Okay,
okay, what,
That works for me too.
Matt, what's your life like?
I could do it early,
What's early, what's an early,
like, morning of the 22nd,
like, is that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? What is that?
any of the above.
Okay,
I'm trying to leave. My family's moving that sort of Thursday and Friday, so I could do morning, but
Okay, then we keep it to the morning. Steve, what's your life like?
I'm in and out the rest of the month, but if I'm around anytime on the 22nd is fine.
Right.
Okay, so the 22nd seems to work for those of us. Jacob, I don't know what you got.
No,
meeting.
I'll still be out of town then, so
Far,
don't
far
schedule
away.
around me.
Okay, since we want to try to move this thing along, and it's still gonna have to come back to a meeting.
9 a.m., 10 a.m., pick a
9
time.
a.m., I would say, for me, I'd be happier with 9 or 9:30. How does that work for others?
great.
That works.
Perfect.
Do you, so no preferences for others, then I would say, depending on what Gary or Erica or hopefully Rob. We're
Yeah,
all guessing that Rob.
I'll find
Why don't
out.
we- Let's put it this way, we can meet anytime between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, is that true for?
Yeah.
most of us?
9 or 9:30 works for Rob.
Oh, it does work for him.
oh, great, so why don't we just
Okay.
say 9:30 on the 22nd, done.
Done.
Perfect.
It's
Calendar.
done. Okay, 9:30 site visit,
Perfect.
good, okay,
Thank you all,
we'll see you guys, we'll see you then,
Thank
Okay.
you.
thanks so
Okay.
much, appreciate it.
no problem.
I'm gonna jump off, okay.
Yeah, we're through with you guys anyway. You're welcome to
Continue
stay.
on.
You're welcome to
on
hang
without us.
around. Let's see.
Okay.
I can stop sharing this thing here.
Thank you.
Okay, what other, let's see if I look at the discussion items here.
Can someone just remind me what the address is so I could write that down here?
It is
11 Harrington Ridge.
11, let's see, I have it on the
You
plan.
double check me because
I'm gonna,
That could be
I'll go
his.
back and look at our, let's see, this is, go back here. It is 11, yes, 11 Harrington Ridge. Okay, 9:30. Okey doke, let's go back to our agenda here, whoops. Okay, we have, let's see, the warrant article, warrants, people could see that online, there were just some fairly minor expenses that are there, covering that. Committee, let's see, we have 10 minutes here. I will, I put in there this proposed state legislation that I don't know if everybody just read it. It's very short. It's only one paragraph. It's surprisingly brief, and I'll just bring it up here anyway. Let's see, there it is. that essentially the language of the bill is simply down here at the bottom at the end. It's allowing towns, since there's a lot of new large-scale solar projects going in that are many acres, that are fairly extensive, like the things you see along the Mass Pike or in big fields. There's been an issue of towns wanting to do some regulation about things, especially when it comes to projects that want to clear cut forest. In there, and there's also issues about putting it in wetlands as well as on agricultural lands. We passed a new bylaw ourselves, a local bylaw that actually has, working with them, I did a little work with them, that it does prohibit doing solar projects in wetlands. I mean, it's part of the bigger policy issue of we need renewable energy, but at the same time, we need wetlands, forests, and agricultural land. And the question is whether you can get renewable energy from enough other kind of sites that you don't need to go there. Now, this doesn't prohibit doing them on anywhere. It just allows towns to come up with what they call reasonable regulation. That's the name of the bill. And we have our bylaw. Some companies have been challenging some towns' bylaws and taking them to court where they have the basis to do some limitations. One could argue, I'll say on the other side, that whether people who have properties with wetlands and forest and agricultural land, whether they want to be subject to any regulation. So there is that point of view versus the fact that like wetlands in general are sort of viewed as having a public benefit. So even though it's on private land, we significantly regulate the use of wetlands. But this is a case of where this would allow towns, obviously after some town votes and stuff like that, to do this kind of thing. So the question is, it's coming before the hearing is before the Senate this next week, and we could submit comments until the end of next week. The question that I put forth to you, and it's my issue, is more for forest lands to be able to protect the fact that we can do the wetlands the way we've done it. That I would say it's worth sending a very short letter saying that to protect the work that the Conservation Commission does on open space and wetlands, that we support this legislation. So I open it up to whether people whether this is something that we want to go on record about. You can read above that on the screen why it's important to people who are advocating for it. People against it would probably just say that maybe you're infringing on some private property rights or uses, which happens all the time in terms of what building codes and everything else is. So there's often for public good regulation. So any comments?
I think it's fine to send a letter in support.
I honestly don't have an opinion yet, and I'd need to inform myself a little more before taking a position either way.
Same for me.
Are you saying that in support would be allowing a solar project to bypass the wetland bylaw?
No, support for this law would basically just enable towns. It would strengthen the ability of towns to create their own regulations. That might affect how these projects happen on forested lands, agricultural lands, and wetlands for preserving them. It's basically giving towns the ability to do some regulation if they want to protect this as a public vote or some vote in town, that they have the right to be able to preserve their forests and agricultural land and wetlands, and do some reasonable regulation of these projects. Like in our case, in our town, we have something with forested lands where if you're going to cut down trees, you have to protect an equal amount of some sort of amount of forest. If you're going to cut down forest, you got to go protect it somewhere else. Other towns have rules where if you're going to cut down trees, you have to protect 2 or 3 times the area of the trees that you're cutting down on a forest. In the case of wetlands, I don't know that we have the Wetlands Protection Act, which is which covers a lot of what we do anyway. The forested areas are more exposed because there's a policy at the state level not to put solar panels and for cutting down forests, but there's no legal basis for it. It's just a strong policy that the DEP advocates, but there's no legal backing, and so it can be challenged by firms. This would help basically put some support for what is now existing state policy with regarding solar. So
Is this the full text of the
that is it. It is simple as that.
Yeah.
It's fairly bland in a way. It just allows towns to make their own choices. It's not saying any particular regulation makes sense. All it is it just gives a more local control. It's really, I view it as a local control measure. Is another way of doing it. So there's not advocating any particular that you even need to do the regulation. It's just giving the local people the ability to do it if so desired and agreed upon.
All right, well, then I changed my mind. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, yeah, this looks fine to me. What this bill says.
As to everybody here, we either, since the public comment has to be done by 23rd, we vote on it tonight or we don't do anything. So I'm going to have a vote. So Steve, unfortunately, there's not time to, this is part of why I try to put things, it's important for people to read the agenda ahead of time, even though I only send it out on Monday, and to read.
I did read this and I still don't quite understand what the difference is from this bill not being in there. I don't.
Because right now, there's nothing allowing towns to do this, except in the case of wetlands. Wetlands have a whole other set of protections. Agricultural land probably has some other set of protections.
Can I put something in the chat, Michael, or do you not? Is that not permitted?
You can do it.
I was just gonna put, so it says it's deleting lines 123 to 126 of the plot. So that's just what I just put in the chat.
Oh, okay. I assumed it. Oh, yeah, actually, I didn't even, let's see, what's in the chat.
So it's just it looks like it's just adding the bolded text. Well, no, maybe a little more than that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, right. It is. That's true.
A little more than that.
Right. Yeah, it's basically giving him, because as in the chat, it's no, if people can see the chat. And everybody, it adds basically that essentially,
So does it split out residential and commercial?
you know, it's interesting as I'm reading this, or the first checking this. Okay. It's basically breaking out for residential purposes. It's actually still protecting residential purposes. What this thing does is only add the ability of a local town to do more in the case of commercial, the large scale non-residential ones, is where it allows it to do not only the health and safety, but also for preserving forests and agricultural land and wetlands. So it mainly adds that extra ability to for towns to regulate commercial or larger projects.
Yeah, and to state it another way, it's going to make it harder for towns to implement regulations on or to put restrictions on developing solar on residential lots.
Oh, really? It seems to be the same for that one. I don't see that it's making it harder. It's just, it's keeping it the same, where the only regulations you could do are for public health, safety and welfare, and that's still
Yeah,
contained.
incompatibility with municipal zoning.
Yeah. Right, so,
I still support it. I was just trying to,
yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad you did that. It was an oversight of me not to put that in here.
How about I make a motion?
Let's make a motion.
I move that we authorize Michael to write a letter in support of this bill.
Okay.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Courtney,
I,
Kurt,
I,
Matt,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Steve.
I'll just abstain. That's
Okay.
okay. I want you to write the letter, though.
Okay, that's all right. I will get the letter out in time. Okay, now it is 8 o'clock and let me stop sharing. Okay, notice is hereby given that the Conservation Commission of the Town of Sherborn will hold a virtual public hearing using Zoom technology at 8 o'clock on the 15th day of June 2023. This notice of intent hearing will be held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborn Wetlands Bylaw to consider a proposal by the applicant, excuse my pronunciation of your name, Krasimir Sidmakov, for construction of a deck within an inner riparian line and wetland buffer zone at 32 Peckham Hill Road, map 11, lot 108. This application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Office. All persons desiring to be heard will be in the opportunity to speak at this hearing. Okay, do we have the cards and all? I think that was in there, or?
We do, yes.
Okay,
Submitted all of his abutter notification.
okay. So I'll let you and I guess Krasimir is here, if that's how do you pronounce your name?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, hi, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for the
So,
time.
okay,
I guess this is an application that's it's been talked about, or you've been thinking about it, I guess now for a little bit, about putting a deck on the front of the house. A previous deck here in this front corner of the house. This is coming off the main street, the Peckham Hill Road. And the property is pretty much surrounded by wetland. And the train tracks run right behind the house. So if one were to sit out on one's deck, this is actually the best place to put the deck. And there's already access window at that location. So here's the door. There was at some point there was some work done here. There were old footings that are kind of tucked under the overhang in this area here, but this grassed area is where they're looking to put the new deck. There's a rough sketch here of what it would look like. The sliding door and the house, they would be putting in new footings. It's 20 by, I'm not sure what the total length is. It looks like 20 by 14 approximately.
Yep.
And then again, it's within the existing lawn area, but the wetlands are close everywhere, so it wouldn't matter where this went. Where the wetlands are is, I was going to bring up pictures. finding a better way to do this than opening one at a time.
Oh, you want me to, I have them open
You
if
have
you
them
want.
all, you have them all up because at the moment mine are coming up one at a time.
Yeah, no, I can just, yeah, I can only scroll through it, but there's only of the pic of those pictures, it's really the main. I guess, yeah, you can,
Okay, I got it. Let me, let's see.
I mean, I could show two at once.
So, you able to see,
Yep.
okay, so I'm just looking at the line here. Let's start,
So go back to that the first one.
so I'm gonna, let me just start.
Oh, that, yeah,
Yeah, here's, if you look right here,
yeah,
that's about where I took one picture to the left. This is where the wetland is. So the wetland's like, it actually comes into the lawn a little bit right here. So I'm standing up with my back to the house. And this is the edge of the wetlands right here. You know, so again, so it's right over it, like right in this area here. So it's very close. Are you able to, are you still able to see pictures?
yeah, that one there. That's the edge of the wetland, or is that where some of the,
This is where I was saying, when you look down, the wetlands come into the lawn. This is, you know, it's not something he did. This has been maintained for, I'm sure, quite a while. But when where they mow, the mow line is like, the wetlands are really out here, and the rest of it kind of follows. There's like a little banking that runs around here beside the driveway and back out.
Hmm.
So again, here's
where is that where is that in this picture? Is that,
so this, it's right down here.
oh, okay, good, thank you.
So you can see the skunk cabbage sitting right here.
Yeah,
This is the wetland line right here. And this is where the deck goes. So when you look at the deck sits within the footprint of the house. It doesn't go further than the front of the house, and it doesn't go further than the side of the house. So it sits up here on that rise.
okay.
If the, I apologize, if the applicant, could you pronounce your name, please?
Yeah, you can call me Krasimir.
Krasimir. So, what were your intentions for under the deck? When you construct this, what were you thinking of? What kind of, how would you treat under the deck?
I was not considering anything else. I was considering minimal disruption, which will be basically just the footings,
Okay.
according to whatever building regulation, which I believe it has to be 4 feet deep. And then, one, I think, has to be in diameter 1 foot.
Are you going, are the sonotube, are they going to be on helical piles or sonotube?
Can you repeat the question?
What will support the deck?
It's just
What-
a pile. She's asking about the type of cement, but the type of footing that you're gonna put in there. There's several
Oh,
types.
cement, just,
Cement? All right,
Yeah.
will those be dug by hand?
I think I will attempt to do it by hand. Yes, I don't think I'll need an excavator, I
So
mean, I
the-
don't want to do excavation with stuff like that.
are you building this yourself?
Yes, with maybe some help, but that's it. Yeah.
Okay, because we would put a restriction that no machinery can come out the front yard, because you are so close to the wetlands there.
Yeah, you can put that. I mean, I don't plan to dig anything with any machinery.
And as you'll find out, if we permit this, that you can come back to us after we condition everything, and if things change, then come back and talk to us about it. So that we can work out something that works for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I don't hit any rocks, but
Oh, yeah, what do you mean? This is New England? What are you, crazy?
well, at least not big enough.
Okay. It's a fairly small precise project in right in lawn where it looks like there was already possibly something there before. So it's already altered even though it's in a buffer zone. And I guess it's just, is it going to be just plank boards, in terms of how the rain would be handled? Is that going to be, is it just going to be boards and the rain will just fall through?
Yes, yeah. I mean, they might be tight so it will fall on the sides, but
Yeah,
don't
no, I'm
plan
just
to.
trying to get at, even when I look at the gutters there, that we just make sure that whatever runoff with these kind of extreme events and everything, that we just don't get erosion towards the wetlands is all where that I'm trying to get at, is that we just have
Yeah,
to,
in fact, this area here that you see towards the bottom,
yeah,
kind of this little hill, that's where most of the water collects anyways. Any water that will, after any rain.
mhm,
So yeah, this grass is going to stay there to continue, preventing any kind of erosion.
yeah, okay, yeah, sometimes. But we'll see if yeah, sometimes when you do a project, it concentrates it more and it might change that pattern, but that's one of the conditions we'll put in, is that we'll monitor for any erosion. And then if something shows up, then we have to figure out a way to deal with it. It's just a standard condition for projects. This in the buffer zone as you're working. I guess I don't know if people have questions before I'll bring up one thing before I open it up to others about whether they have. I mean, I think given what's already was there and the scale of the project and being in the lawn there and not being a whole new impervious surface, that I think this is likely permittable. I don't want to speak for everybody, but for me, and it's just a matter of conditioning it. But I don't know what questions do before I talk about a few things. Do other people have questions about the project? And
Michael, this is, I mean, it's not just buffer zone, right? Is this a riverfront area?
right,
Riverfront also, yeah.
Yeah. Is there some kind of exemption here?
It's an existing, it was an existing deck and it is a deck on a house in previously disturbed, yeah.
Got it. All right.
any other questions or comments from others? Steve, go.
Well, I'm inclined to, hopefully we say yes on this, but I just for my education, perhaps, clearly we're right at the very edge of the wetland, and it's not an unaltered buffer zone. It's, it seems like it's the little path is mowed frequently, and the other, I assume, is mowed periodically. So it's not a true, it's not a natural buffer zone. Does that matter? I mean, given it's an existing property and it's a small scale, and I guess it probably had a deck at one point there. I guess my question is the fact that it's an altered buffer zone almost totally, it seems, does that matter?
Well, I think it also matters that there was a deck there before. I don't think you would be even considering this if there hadn't been something before. And
Okay, so just for the clarification for me,
Yeah.
if there hadn't been a deck before there, we might say no?
yes,
Okay.
you might.
Right, it's a tricky one because it's lawn. I mean, since in this case, we don't have to delve into that, but yeah, I could see issues going both ways on that one. Other comments or questions?
Yeah, I got a quick one. The dirt that's coming out of the holes, the spoil, can I assume that's being taken off site?
If it has to be taken off site, it has to be. I'm not sure what the regulations are.
It just has to
So-
be taken out of the buffer zone.
There is no out of the buffer zone here.
I think
Where
the
would
whole
you put
thing
the-
is-
where would you put the dirt that comes out of the hole? Where were you thinking of putting it?
Is there,
There's no button on, no buffer. I mean, he could spread, there's a
mean,
lot of
I
altered
have-
buffer zone.
At the back of my backyard is it's the railroad. And
Yep.
I don't know how far that is, but I can put them right next to the railroad.
I think that would work.
Okay. Yes, I'm your neighbor up the railroad tracks. I put my brush by the railroad tracks as well, but it's an interesting
So
place.
what you can't do is you can't dump the dirt in the wetland.
Oh, no, no, no. No, it's fine.
Okay, so that's going to be another condition.
Okay.
Any other comments from folks? I'll bring up people can still comment. I'll bring up a sort of a trickier issue of whether, given that, as we have in one of the pictures, that there's some actual mowing of wetlands itself, whether, I don't know whether it's like 4 or 5 feet there, whether you would consider letting, since we're always trying to gain a little for the wetlands, whether you would consider not managing the area that's mowed that's actually wetlands itself as opposed to buffer zone, whether you would it's hard, I don't know if we don't have the right to make you do it because it's already being used. But whether you'd be willing to let some of the wetlands that's being managed go back to being nice, healthy wetlands.
Sure, no problem. In fact, the one that you see on the left side, when you look at the screen, that's something we left. It used to be all cut grass, like especially when we got the house. So I allowed to grow in the middle. So for me not to do the path on the side is not a stretch of any. So no problem. We can have this even as a condition if you prefer.
Sure, that would be nice. It's rare that we get a little bit more wetland back, so this will be a nice change from what we often face. Things going there. Then and so in terms
So-
of, yeah,
Michael, one question about that is, since we don't have a real delineation here, is that something where the way we would write the condition is we would just have the agent walk the site with the applicant and figure that out in the field?
correct.
Okay.
This is normal.
Great, thank you.
I'll say for everybody's sake that it's unusual that we do an NOI without a formal wetland delineation. We have some old material that's out of date from, I think, the septic system that was done many years ago, that I have to admit, I've been around long enough that I think I remember that. But in this case, given its very limited scope of project within the lawn there, and that it's seeming permittable, that we're sort of letting this go, and the flexibility of that we do have the flexibility not to require all of the standard information. And that sort of, I mean, if somebody here wanted to say, oh, we nearly needed delineation, then we'd have to discuss that. But I think we were all coming to the fact that I think that since any wetland that we get back and recovered is a plus, even if we don't know exactly where the edge is there, just getting back some of it is wonderful. So we'll have something that I guess we'll put in I don't know, I guess we'll have to come up with a new sketch that'll go with the order of conditions, where we somehow mark up whatever Joyce could walk with you, Kresimir, to come up with what area you're willing to let go, revegetate. And then we'll just put that as a sketch as part of the order of conditions. The other issue is whether the only other I see, I guess we'll have a condition about the erosion because I see the downspouts from the house, and whether that, I guess, as long as we'll just monitor whether there's any erosion that comes out. And I guess, Joyce, when you go out there, we'll just see if there's any existing pattern of erosion. that we might want to avoid. The last thing I have on my list is whether our thing of whether we do a one monument that or something like that. Of course, we've been standardly what we're talking about. Casimir is a little sign that says, "This is the edge of the wetlands. Please don't do any work beyond here." It's a small little sign that could be mounted on a rock or who knows what, on something. But I mean, this is somewhat clear. I don't know what other people think about that issue.
I was gonna ask if there's anything convenient to mount them on trees or whatnot, but it seems like it's right up in the lawn, so it maybe when Krasimir's excavating the footings, if he comes across a large rock, he could shove that to the edge of the lawn. I don't know. We've not permitted something like this without any kind of markers or monuments, so I do feel like we have to put something up.
Okay,
It's not that we don't think Krasimir will respect
mean-
the wetland line, it's just for future.
okay. Is that the feeling of other people here?
I
Yeah,
don't
that
feel
makes sense.
strongly about that, but I mean, you guys do, I guess.
Steve, were you saying something, or Jacob? I couldn't hear
There,
somebody.
it does look like there's one tree that's, even though it's not at the line, it looks like it's about 2 feet back from the line. That could still be useful
Oh, okay, in one of the pictures you saw that?
in one of the pictures. Yeah.
Um,
The only problem with that one, Jacob, is it's right at
Yep.
his front door, and I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Want to
okay.
look at it.
I couldn't
And I don't
couldn't
mean
tell that
to,
from the picture.
maybe if we had him put him on a metal post or something, he could put down closer to the ground. And
Yeah,
have him put-
I'd be happy with it only being sort of like a foot or two off, so that it's not an eyesore per se. And even if the vegetation grows around it. But yeah, I just so you know, it's Krasimir, it's a small label about whatever. What is it, 4 by 6 inches or something like that, if that. That just is in green or something like that, that would just could be mounted on a little. Any sort of mounted, even some people just glue it onto rocks, if you did find a rock that you'd like to put at the edge there. Or it could be on a little post of some sort. So that's what we standardly do on projects, so that we get more definition of where the wetlands are for people going forward. So that's become a standard condition that we've been doing for at least some of us. Not everybody always agrees, but we're a bunch of individuals.
We said 2 markers that would be established with the homeowner and the agent.
I was just gonna say, it's something I feel comfortable letting you guys figure out on the site. Especially, I find it hard to imagine you can dig a hole in New England and not come up with a big rock, so. I'm sure you guys will figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with
Keep it
just
all close to the ground, so you're not staring at a giant signpost.
right.
I mean,
So,
there's a rock wall also that goes along the property line, which is right there, so rocks are available. You know.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, so we'll okay, so do you think two in that area somehow appropriately placed, or is that enough? I can't, I'm just having a little, I'm not sure what
What do you
what
think,
you
Joyce?
think, Joyce, but in terms of the number.
I think two would be fine in that area.
Okay,
Okay, so I have a condition of 2 monuments or 2 signs. Monuments make it sound bigger than they are. Let's see, are there any other conditions that you that we want to talk about that make sense for this?
So are we going, so as far as erosion control, he's only digging a couple of hand dug holes.
Oh, yeah,
So are we going, there'll be a pre-construction meeting, and we can talk about on site so that I know when you're starting, we can determine whether or not there'll be any need for a straw wattle. Typically, we put a straw wattle around the area so that it limits both your work and controls erosion, but you're not really disturbing the ground here. So, what does the commission think about that? You know, just doing it as needed.
As
Erosion
needed
control.
makes sense to me.
As needed makes sense, because he's just gonna hand dig the hole and, you know,
How many are you just doing what? Is it in the end just one new hole in the outer corner?
No, this should
No,
be,
actually, it's
Okay,
at least
so-
3.
Okay. And, oh yeah, I guess,
3 in the outer points.
Hmm.
One by the house, 1 and 2 out farther.
yeah,
Yeah, and I am going with the building department to come up with a design that I can incorporate those 2 existing. Because I can't just attach apparently, because it's not a load carrying that wall. I mean, the one that comes on the bottom, so it has to be.
oh, because
In
it,
fact, it was reinforced. I don't know why. I don't know if someone didn't care about it. So I have to reinforce it and then use it. And
oh
I
yeah, I see
expect
the-
it will fall within the building requirements, you know.
how will your window be affected by that? The window under the door?
It will be just, you know, my kid is gonna just listen to conversations once in a while. That's all. I don't think, you mean the window of the room?
No, the window that's on the low, below the deck.
Oh, the basement? Yeah, it will just stay like that, you know. Light is still light. It will, obviously it will be limited, but it still be some light, you know.
beyond our thing there, but right, I see how the outside wall overhangs the foundation. So right, you do have a little architectural issue there. Okay, what other, so erosion control will be as decided based on the meeting prior to construction. What other conditioning?
I can't think of anything.
Okay, well, we can still come up with one. Then I move, we have any other issues to do? Because I'm going to close the hearing. And then we can, oh yeah, we don't have findings, but I'll make something up here. Procedure is that we've closed the hearing and then we vote on the project based on conditions. Okay, I move that we close the hearing on this project.
Did we have anybody else from the audience that wished to comment first?
Oh, that's true. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay.
Mark is our next applicant.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yes, sorry, Mark, we're gonna run a hammer over. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Steve,
Aye.
Matt,
Hi,
Jacob,
Aye.
Kurt,
Hi.
Courtney.
I,
Okay. Now, before I'm assuming based on everything we talked about, I'm gonna move to permit this project. Unless anybody has any other discussion. Now that we've closed the hearing, but okay. I guess we weren't so prepared with the findings, but I move that the project consisting of doing a deck as in the plan in already altered lawn area in an area where there was already previous deck, albeit in inner buffer zone and inner riparian area, that can be permitted based on what the conditions, subject to the conditions that we discussed, would prevent any impact to the wetlands, and that the adding of monuments or signs and protecting some And recovering some additional managed wetlands is also a benefit to wetlands protection. I'll leave it at that. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I. Steve? Matt?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Jacob?
Aye.
Courtney?
Aye.
Okay, the project's approved with all the conditions that we talked about. And again, if things come up, you want to change things, just come back to us. And we'll sort things out and work with Joyce on some of the stuff. We'll get out the paperwork in the next, it'll be a little bit of time before we get all the paperwork out and the permit filed and everything. But if you have any questions as it comes up, just contact the office and talk to Joyce or us if needed. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time and approving it.
Sure. Okay, thank you, and see you. Okay,
Thanks. Good night.
right. Okay, it's 8:32. We're only 2 minutes behind schedule. That's because we started the other one 2 minutes late. Notice is hereby given that the Conservation Commission of the Town of Sherborn will hold a virtual public hearing using Zoom technology at 8:30 p.m. on June 15th, 2023. This request for determination of applicability hearing will be held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Bylaws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborne's Wetlands Bylaw to consider a proposal by the applicant's representative, Eco Terra Design, to eliminate lawn and invasive plant species and replace with native plant communities at 60 Washington Street, Map 7, Lot O 92. This application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Office. All persons desiring to be heard will be given an opportunity to speak at this hearing. Okay. Hearing is open, and do you, hi, Mark, you're here. I assume you're the.
Yes, good evening, Michael. Thank you.
Yes, nice to see you.
Nice to see you all.
And this is a much easier, fun project than some other things we've talked about.
Oh, yeah, this is an easy one. So I don't mind you're a couple minutes late. I don't think hopefully we're not too long.
Yes, we'll have that other stuff another day. But okay, do you want to present to the commission?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Let me give the commission a quick overview. Do you want me to share my screen or do you guys have something up?
No, it's all up to you if you want to do it or we can
Okay.
do it.
Joyce, do you have the figure? Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Is there a color version somewhere?
I have it if you let me share, Joyce, if you don't want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let me see if mine will come out. Share screen.
Show how good you are with this.
Sometimes it works. Go share. All right. Can you guys see the figure?
Yes, that's nicer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, 60 Washington Street, Mark Cooperman, EcoTerra Design and Consulting. We have had a long history on the property, both with the previous owners and now with the current owners. The current owners had approached us wishing to kind of restore some of the areas in the property, make them a little more native. It is an active, horse farm again, which is nice to see. And these areas both lie, that I broke up here as Area A and Area B, which I'll describe in a little more detail. They both lie along the stream that runs along the back of the property. There had been, prior to us being involved in the project, their landscape firm had been using a tarped method to try and eradicate some of the natives up here in Area A. And then Area B was going to be a future project, which the intent was to basically eliminate all but the sort of lawn directly around the home here. Does my cursor does show up, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this area here to remain as lawn, but the clients wished to sort of minimize the lawn down in this area that's just A, not doing great, and B, unnecessary maintenance. So we approached it purely as a restoration project. You can see the totals here. There's about 6,600 square feet here. of shrub area, and then about just under 13,000 plus or minus square feet here of what'll be more of a meadowy area with some shrubs, but there are some trees, as you can see in the area. The photos here depict the characteristics of the site. You can see the lawn area here rolling down towards the stream channel. Same over here. Here are the beehives for reference. The existing patio area, which will remain. And then here's the the tarped area, which in this photo would be right in here. And here's the tarped area that's been used. I don't think it's been moved around. I think it's a large tarp. I think it's been pretty much in the same area to eliminate some of the aggressive invasive species. The planting palette that we selected is native. So for area A up here, we wanted to make that more of a shrub thicket because the terrain underneath is extremely rocky. So it doesn't lend itself to creating any kind of a meadow or anything like that that could be maintained. There's just rocks sort of popping up all over the place. So we've got thickets of arrowwood, high bush blueberry, and sweet pepper bush with an understory of some ferns and sedges as needed. And as we typically do in these restoration projects, you know, it's not a detailed landscape plan, it's more spacing. And you can see here that we had a total of about 80 shrubs, start on the smaller size so they can tuck them in the pockets between the rocks. And then the numbers on the plugs for the understory herbaceous cover, you can see here.
Could you, before you move on there,
Yes.
Can you just make the screen a hair bigger?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, of course. Let me see.
Okay, that works.
How about let's try 125? How's that? Even better?
Wow.
Perfect,
Okay.
right?
Maybe I'll take off my glasses, but no.
Yeah, no, I forget. It always looks different on my end, Michael, than it doesn't on your end when I'm looking at it.
I was just curious what for the ferns for the ground cover sort of issue of what it means 5 feet OC%. What does that
So-
actually mean?
So we must, for the total area, we did 5 feet on center. I don't know why the percent is in there. I think that's a typo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a typo. It's a standard schedule we use for a lot of projects. It must have been carried over from a seating spec or something. You can see down here that uses a percentage.
Okay.
So yeah, I apologize. The percent should not be there. If we just do some quick calculations on the 6,600 plus square feet, comes out to about 260 plugs.
So it's
and then-
basically dividing the 667 by 5 squared by 25.
yeah, exactly. There's a multiplier.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And that comes out to, you know, and again, with these areas and that area in particular, you can see it in the tarp. It's very, those bumps that you're seeing right in there. A lot of those are old stumps or such, but also just boulders, and you can see here the characteristic of it. So when I looked at it, I wanted it to just be very sort of fluid when the work happened, as to kind of plant where we can, you know, with smaller plants and just mass it up. It's directly adjacent to the corral. The idea behind the thick shrub thicket with the heavy understory was obviously to create this stand of native plants that would outcompete the aggressive plants that, you know, have been under the tarp. And should any seed bank or such come back, you know, that would hopefully be more manageable.
And you're basically leaving the heavy leaf cover. You're just playing.
And leaving, yeah, using heavy leaf cover, and in the specs that we gave to the landscape contractor, we spec'd leaf mulch for a mulch.
Okay.
So leaf mulch, yes, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's not a groomed area. And again, if you walk through it or saw the tarp pulled up, you'd see it's very bony.
Yeah.
But there are pockets, and that's why the shrubs are also deliberately small, you know, container shrubs, so that they can be in fact established in there.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't pay to start with bigger ones. The idea here is to mass them up
Mhm.
in some fashion through there. And that area A, you can see here, you know, the approximate limit here kind of carries it up through here, or maybe even a little further down here, if, you know, if the planting allows. But that's the general area that we're targeting.
Okay.
And the
moving-
tarp, and the tarp is right in this area here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this layer did not have the tarp at the time, but the tarp goes, well, it actually goes right to about here and comes down like that. So there's a little bit of this of area A that's not tarped, but it doesn't seem to be overrun.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Okay, yeah, thanks. And then area B, which is more the lawn area over here, it is not a, here's a good view to it, looking back towards area A. Would probably be more of a fall project, and that is again to reduce a lot of the lawn area, particularly up adjacent to the stream, and that area here again take on this basic form, eliminating approximately 13,000 square feet of lawn area or struggling lawn area, and that is a little more of a diverse palette to choose from, because that would be the sequence would involve both plants, plugs and shrubs and small shrubs, in addition to some seeding, where it just doesn't make sense to do it all in plugs. So we often do a combination of seeding and plugs, which works well, we find. And so same idea, very, very similar palette of shrubs, which would probably be, concentrated in groups and or concentrated in groups along the adjacent to the stream bank. Same thing, some understory ferns here to choose from, in addition to some sedges that'll do well in various microclimates within that area. There are different microclimates based on sun exposure, hydrology, et cetera. So that's why I've kept the palette fairly diverse, and we will adjust it in the field. And then also some seed options here for some native forbs that could be incorporated into the more sunny areas or partial shade areas, for some diversity. They do have bees on the property, so some of these will be very beneficial for that.
So in this case, with the forbs, the sedge is right. You have to create a whole new. I don't know whether you're plowing it all up or you just.
We talked about moving, not now because the clients don't want to look at the tarp all summer, but as we prepare for that phase of the project, which let's say may begin this fall, we would take that very large tarp, and start moving that over into areas, and maybe even do this in 2 phases too. It probably could do most of, like almost all of this section here with that tarp. This area probably doesn't need the tarp as much. It's more shaded and just struggling. And it would be not a plowing, but a removal of sod cutting, and probably sod cutting where need be, and then just a very very shallow sort of tilling to eliminate the lawn.
Mark?
Yes.
Joyce here.
Hi, Joyce.
I have to say that I went out there and I'd like to share the pictures that I took. This is one of the nicest lawns I think I've seen in a long time.
Is it out by the house? Yeah.
I am familiar with the property, and I do remember when it was a very poor lawn, but in the area where the bees are, if I could share my screen, I didn't get the impression from the homeowner that that's an area that SEC phase 2 is something that they're looking to do. If I could share my screen, I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Oh wow, it's really come in.
So it's a gorgeous thick lawn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's like a little seating area here. This is the
Right.
bee area that he was referring to, but I don't know how, I don't know what they would be doing. If you think the idea is that they're gonna put tarps out here, I happened to run into the homeowner, and the project has actually already been done. I don't think, I might have miscommunicated, misunderstood what Mark was saying to her, but
the landscapers must have been, they started on the area behind the corral.
right, this being they planted it already, this being the area of the tarp, if
This is part of area A.
this is part of,
That's it. Yes.
so like this is the corner. There's if you look at the aerial photo that Mark showed, there's like a new, around the chicken coop, there's a new paddock fence and stone all around the chicken coop. Oops, sorry. And then they have taken up the tarp. These are the plantings that they've put in.
Are the shrubs in there, Joyce?
Everything, they've put everything in there. They haven't done this area here. They were gonna wait. They said the thistle was still,
Mhm.
was in this area here. You can see where the skunk cabbage is coming up around the edges. They've kept that. There's a stream that's right here at the back of this. The homeowner
Correct.
speculated that the previous owner had cleared this area in hopes of doing something with it, and then it all came back with invasives.
Correct.
And there's stone berm right here. They are choosing, this is again, her description of it to me is that they're choosing to, they planted everything they're gonna plant. And they were watering it today when I was out there. They've spread mulch, bark mulch. It seems like a very fine mulch.
Mhm.
And in order to try and keep things from growing up through and give the others a chance to grow. But aside from this corner here, everything is pretty much done. I don't know about, again, when you saw the aerial photo that Mark was showing, this paddock and stone weren't on there. I will say that aside from the mulch going over the edge, there was no, Mark had indicated a erosion control barrier, and there wasn't one.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a straw wattle or something along there.
Right, but overall, I think that, it's not, the intent is not to make this usable area, it's to grow back, just like Mark had
Oh,
described.
absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's just maybe the thing, they started maybe a little sooner than Mark had thought they would.
Yeah, apparently. I think, well, I think everybody last I spoke with them, they thought we were on for the last hearing. So that may have been some miscommunication there too. I haven't spoken with anybody. I met with the landscape contractor weeks and weeks ago and gave them everything in the package and told them we were on for the last hearing. And I know they were doing some other landscape planting on the site, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe they just sort of kept rolling. It looks like they haven't pulled the tarp all the way back though, like you said. They kind of bunched it up in this area for now. And as I said, my understanding was that the area B from when we started this was the lesser of the priorities, and that may or may not start in the fall. The lawn certainly looks like it's in great health now, up certainly closer to the house.
Right.
Did I turn mine off? Do I need to turn mine off, Joyce?
No,
Right.
I shut.
You did. You Xed me out. Okay, good.
If they're getting rid of that grass, I'll take it.
Color photo one more time.
Yeah, do you want, let me give you that. I'll give you
Is
that.
the paddock, Joyce, are you saying that the paddock is new?
Yeah. So if you could go to area A. So
See the exist.
so this whole area, this is the side, I'm pointing and you can't see me.
No,
If
yeah,
you
I
could
can.
point to so that area, right off the end of the garage is
In the
now,
shed.
a stone paddock.
Oh, you mean that area there?
Yeah, so the paddock fencing is, extends right up to, all through that area. From there, if you move your cursor right beside the garage.
Right there.
No, back to the house where the garage, there's a garage, and so right from there, come forward some more. So the paddock is like in that area between there and the area A. There's like a little chicken. It looks very nice.
Yeah. That's right. That's the chicken.
Yep.
It's a small, you say paddock, I'm thinking, I'm thinking horses, but.
Yeah, there's now a raised garden bed and surrounded by stone and surrounded by fencing.
Right. And this is the chicken coop here?
I'm not sure if that's the chicken coop. It's hard to tell. Things look a little different than I saw on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if they built a new one in there. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see I'm trying to find the tall pine tree that's in the picture. By that,
Which one, Michael?
in one of Joyce's pictures, there's not a pine tree, there's a fairly tall tree.
Right here.
In the next to that paddock in between some of the
Oh, like
fences.
yeah,
I don't see where that is on this picture, but
it could be right, it could be like the bottom of it, if you project the shed straight out.
yeah.
I'm thinking
That
right
one,
here.
Oh,
that
that's
one-
in there.
Here or this one? This one.
If that's
Uh,
it, and the paddock is much more of that, has gone much more closer to the stream
Yeah,
than just that area there. So that's that raises some other issues. I mean, in some ways, they're doing all this other mitigation. It's almost like it's mitigation for.
But I mean, I don't even want to like speculate too much. I think, you know, Mark's probably not aware, it sounds like, of a lot of this, and maybe he needs to get back together with his clients before we really go any further. I don't want to put him on the spot when, you know,
Right,
this is
I
all
haven't been out there, so I didn't see what Joyce
right.
said today.
yeah, I guess, right. I guess
It would make sense to continue and come back with more information, right?
right, and whether we need to do.
I don't even know if it was the previous owner or the current one. I just know that it's different from this aerial photo. It could have been the previous owners.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, we can look at aerial photos, but the homeowner was very, you know, very open about what they were doing, and just to clear up invasives and take care of things. They're really trying to.
Yeah, no, they're really trying to,
do it.
they're really trying to, you know, reclaim the property, do the right thing, keep the areas natural. They won't use any herbicides or anything around the paddocks or the house. You know, so they're really doing the right thing. Her husband's been doing a lot of the sort of groundwork himself at times, and you know, they're really trying to bring the life back into the property with a good ecological mind. So I feel confident that anything they're doing the intent is for the right reasons,
Right,
including chickens, I guess, to have fresh eggs.
right.
Right.
No, it's just the work and that. Just
Right.
the-
I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if when we did work for Bob, I don't remember if that small chicken / goat paddock or whatever it had been. I'm trying to think if that was already there or not.
It looks brand new. So I mean, when you look
Okay.
at it, it looks like
It
the
does.
edges stone, everything looks really good. A little
It
junk.
does from the pictures, right? The pictures that are in our file that you showed before. It certainly does look like it's brand new. So I guess. What
I
is
guess
that?
I guess the good news is we've got a lot of preemptive mitigation if there is a chicken coop intrusion. You know, we're sort of ahead of the game as far as ratios.
Yeah, no, it is a little tricky here. It's like like an after the fact kind of permitting on a problem issue. I don't know. What were you advocating, Courtney, in terms of what do we do? How do we move forward on this thing? Now that
You know, I Google Earthed it, and there's actually there's a satellite picture from 2023, and you can see it wasn't there in the previous one, and now it is.
Okay, so it's, you know, it's new.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, I think, you know, he probably has to discuss, I would imagine, with his clients and, you know, rejigger the plan, and because we have to understand what's actually there on site, and what work might have been done, and then we can go from there, right?
yeah, no, I'm just citing. I mean, this is the wetland. What are the wetlands there in terms? I mean, they're right. I mean, it's clearly an improvement of some stuff. So as you said, Mark, that it's as if they're doing the mitigation for trying to do more work in the buffer zone. Because I assume the wetlands are the stream. Does it?
Correct.
So the skunk cabbage is growing up through the, you know, in this area. I
Right.
don't, Mark, we'll let Mark deal with that.
No, I'm just trying to decide whether
Yeah.
we, I guess to see where it goes, whether this should have been like an NOI. To the extent of all the work that they then sort of.
Well, I
beyond
think, so
restoration.
one of the things, Michael, too, is that, and somebody brought it up earlier, is so under the previous ownership, there were some issues before we got involved in the front. My understanding is there were some infractions in the back here that Bob had in this area that in Joyce's picture, as she was describing, where they have, you know, fulfilled this restoration, so to speak, but you could see that kind of tailing pile. That's because there was, I believe, historically under previous owners, unauthorized work back there, which kind of opened things up, had the invasives come in, maybe change the hydrology a little bit. So it's definitely a previously disturbed area under the prior owner.
Okay,
Not the chicken coop, obviously, but the area.
Well, or the stone and the fencing. So I think that, you know, you just need to just come up with a dialogue for why the stone, the paddock, and the raised bed is, you know, is within feet of the edge of the wetland, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I mean, my personal opinion is it's still very much a restorative project and probably can be an RDA. I know the clients are, you know, I explained the difference to them, and they're sort of, they feel strongly that with all the good things they're doing, they're sort of averse to having to go through the notice process, you know, and survey and all that. But I hear your point about kind of updating this a little bit, I guess, and making it a little more accurate as to what's actually out there.
and the work that's been done. Why don't you just sort of work on that, and maybe we can talk separately, or after you catch up on what's being done and what's new work that they did. In
Right.
the jurisdictional area, we can then reevaluate.
Right. Well, I think once Mark has a handle on all the details, then, you know, he can talk to Joyce. And I mean, I think it'll be important to look at what the work was done and to look at our regulations as to whether this should be an RDA or an NOI.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, then,
All right, I'll get out there tomorrow or so.
Yeah.
And
okay,
We obviously need more information, so we're not gonna
yeah,
figure it out.
we'll just continue this hearing and see how it goes with that there. But yes, no, it does seem like there's some good work being done here. We just have to get the whole scope of it sorted out. Let's see. And then I guess you could
I
also
think-
deal with whether what area B is going to really be done. What the
yeah,
scope-
that was early spring. I did walk that with the clients, and that's how we sort of came up with this. So I know, Joyce, you mentioned, were you starting to say something, Joyce, about
I
area
just
B?
wanted to say, you know, that the homeowner was very concerned about, you know, things going on, and I think it would be good to assure her that, you know, what they're doing is fantastic. Maybe there are just some elements of things that aren't related to the restoration that we just need to investigate. I didn't want Mark to go back and make the homeowner think that this was just
Exactly.
that we were all upset about things.
Right.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, no, they do. They feel strongly. They're really trying to do the right thing here and bring the property back to life and be ecologically conscious. You know, that's just their mindset from where they came from. And they've done great things on, like you said, they've done great things on the property thus far. So I think let's do that. Let me update that. I'll reach out to you, and then we'll decide, I guess, what we'll do from there for next
Okay.
hearing or not.
Okay, so we're going to continue this.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just continue it. No decision.
So we should continue it to will next meeting be enough time for you?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll just, I'll
Okay,
go out,
so that
I'll
would be,
inventory, I'll update, I'll email something to you guys, to Joyce, and then meet.
It's also 3 weeks till the next meeting, so you have a little extra time.
Oh, is it a long, okay. What is the date? What is the date of that hearing?
July.
You can go.
It's the 6th. Michael keeps saying it's the 7th, but it's the 6th.
But I just said 6. Okay, but okay.
I have a quick
so
question.
Yeah, go on.
It's not controversial or anything. I'm just curious how moist that area is that that you're restoring.
In A or B.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that some of the plants you on your list are tend to do better in wet areas, and some doesn't matter as much. I'm just
Exactly, and that was very deliberate, because as you get closer down here to the stream channel, there's a small margin that's slightly moist, and down here where the drainage kind of collects, but the rest of it not so much. And that's why we have a palette, and the way they're distributed would be appropriate to the plant's particular tolerances.
Okay.
Yeah, and in here in area A, James, same. It's a little weird because there's also drainage that comes down into here. You saw in Joyce's photo. So area A, although some of it is clearly above quote unquote wetland elevation, there's drainage that comes in, and it's been it's like I said, it was previously disturbed with some holes and some rocks, and then the stone tailing pile. So it does tend to hold some water.
Okay.
Which is why those shrubs were used there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
welcome.
no, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of good work to be done here. Any other questions before I move to continue the hearing? Let's see, we have to pick a time.
8 PM.
Sure.
8 p.m. you said, Joyce?
Yeah, does 8 PM work for you on the 6th?
On the 6th, I believe that does, yes.
Okay. Fine, I move that we continue this hearing until July 6, 2023 at 8 PM.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I. Steve?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jacob?
Aye.
Courtney?
I,
Okay, so we'll see you in a few weeks.
A few weeks. Thanks,
But
guys.
Interesting project, though. Yes, okay. Now, going back to finish the hearings, let's see, 39 after 9 here. Now, other things on the agenda are, I don't know, did everybody read my email about the I guess we got Conservation Committee here instead of supposed commission organization. Did people read my email? I guess I'd like to think. This is that annual time when we organize ourselves. June is that kind of time period. As I said, I guess speaking for Courtney, I think, I don't know if she ever said that she'd continue to serve, but whether we're willing to continue to serve or other people can have different views about how we organize the committee. And there's both.
I noticed Jacob made a quick exit when we came to this item.
Oh, that's true. Oh, he already told me. I have to give him, it's probably in the chat, but he already told me that he had, since he's on vacation and traveling around, that he had to leave at 9 o'clock. Because he had he's in a different time zone, and he had a dinner engagement. But yes, it could be considered suspicious. Okay. Anybody, I mean, and Carol's not here too, but we could always, you could do your organization at any time. It's like we could change officers or chairs or anything else. And as I said, whether you're chair or not, it doesn't mean you can't run a meeting or do certain things. So I don't mean to, there's no limitations. People are interested in doing more. Because that's part of my issue of what does it take, as I wrote in the memo, what does it take to feel people happier serving here? And there's a lot of basic regulatory work, but that could overlap into goals kind of thing. What activities would make people feel happier about doing this job? But I'll start with the how we organize, whether people have different thoughts or ideas about chairs or treasurer. Never had a clerk. But so,
Everyone's unmuted. You should just let them go.
yeah, I'm ready.
I like it the way it is, and I think the chairs are doing a wonderful job.
Oh,
Flattery will get you everywhere, but
does anyone want to run a meeting or two?
I don't feel experienced enough to do run a meeting, or I still don't understand all the bylaws and what all the, but I'm learning more all the time. I kind of do wish there was a way some things could be streamlined, but I don't know how that would work. But you know, I appreciate the people are doing a lot of work, which is, you know, Michael, Courtney, and others too. But you know, Carol obviously adds a lot. I don't feel I'm quite there, but I wish somehow things were more streamlined. But I'm being very vague about that because I do appreciate, Michael, what you're doing, and others as well.
well, we can always work on that. We can figure out some specifics. More than happy to discuss it at a meeting or even separately. If people have, as I wrote, it's part of a bigger picture of how we work. I mean, I've been running the majority of meetings and of it all, but I'm certainly open to feedback in this context as well as separately about that issue of efficiency, or as I wrote, it's always this balancing act between more discussion and efficiency that I just go back and forth on, and I'll leave it at that. Any other comments? I guess that means you, Kurt.
Yeah, no, no, I think the chairs are doing a great job. I don't feel, as much as I'd like to get more involved, I don't, and I know everyone is dealing with this as well. You know, I feel pretty at capacity just with work and with everything else I have going on. So I don't, you know, down the road, possibly, I feel like I'd be able to take on a bigger role, but at this point, it also to what Steve said, I'm still feel like I'm learning the ropes a bit. But no, I think you guys are doing a great job. I don't, you know, I read your email, you know, the thing you put together, and I did not really have anything to bring up. So.
Okay, I don't know, Courtney, do you think we need to vote, or we just keep it the way it is? I don't know how we ever became co-chairs. Did we actually get voted?
I don't know. Well, we must have, because I don't know, everybody quit. It was like,
Yeah, so that was just us left to appoint ourselves. Okay, I'm gonna move, and Kelly has said that he's willing to keep serving as treasurer. And anybody who's willing to get a little more involved in any of that is fine. I mean, it's also the land management stuff that I guess some people might do more on. I can't remember if I remember you, Matt, volunteering or saying you wanted to do a little more with that task. I can't remember what you said last. I remember you saying you would do more with something that Kelly was talking about.
Yeah, I've been in touch with him offline. We're good to go.
Yeah. Okay, then I'm gonna move that Michael Lesser and Courtney Eck remain as co-chairs, and Kelly McClintock remains as our treasurer and as well as an associate member.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, aye. Steve?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Kurt?
Aye.
Courtney?
reluctant, I.
Okay, and we'll give Jacob a chance at the next meeting to
Yeah,
why
why didn't we just nominate him while he wasn't here?
Yeah.
We can have 3 co-chairs and
No, I'm
4 treasurers and whatever.
happy to step back.
That we'll give him an opportunity. You could talk to him, Courtney, then if you'd like. You're doing a good job as our backup agent at times.
That's
Okay,
lie.
moving on.
I'm failing.
No, you're doing swell. Let's see, Conservation Commission goals is in the past, I'll just bring it up now. I don't have, I mean, these are things that people might be interested in that we deal with, whether it's in the wetlands protection or the open space management or education around town. These are things that we can have goals on one level, but on another level, it's less a matter of having goals than having people who have things that they want to do. Because having a goal and not having somebody who wants to work on it. I mean, we already have the goal that we're trying to eventually get to redoing our regulations. And can have a goal to think of some ideas of streamlining, to the extent that we could ever come up with ideas. And right, as I even wrote there, at some point, separate from this regulatory change, I'm still trying to figure out how we can factor in some of these climate change issues into our wetlands protection and open space stuff, even how we manage our properties, as well as how we do wetlands protection. But I will just put it out there again that if people have something, we're all, as Kurt said, we're a little strapped, but so if people have anything they want to say about that tonight, or just keep it as something to keep in mind that we can come up with again in some number of meetings, but I just want to put it out there for now. Anybody want to say anything tonight before we move on?
Nope.
Okay,
A quick question, but I don't want to get
Sure.
into discussion on it. Is you mentioned climate change being possibly more part of what the Conservation Commission does. Is there precedent for that, or is that what is the other conservation commissions doing that? Is that our mandate? Is it or is it part of what we should be doing?
well, probably all of the above to most of the part, that it's there are other commissions doing stuff. There are other commissions doing it. There are, and it overlaps with sometimes tree protection issues and tree bylaws that have gone on in some towns, just to deal with the carbon sequestering issue. And part of doing that work is to go see what other towns have been doing. There's other work in the MACC has information on that. So tackling that task is, if one's interested, since I don't foresee myself having time soon, is a matter of looking into what other towns have done and how that fits within their jurisdiction. I mean, it does. We do manage a lot of open space, so there's a soft area, how we have coverage of that, and we have our own properties, as well as what could be done under wetlands protection.
Okay, but right now, it may be unknown exactly what. How
Yeah,
that-
I can't give you any specific examples about of what other towns have done or that fits within our jurisdiction, other than so, or whether it's even we review forest stewardship plans might be an example, and whether we haven't done that and recently. But the commission does have the ability, supposedly, to get to review when people are going to do these plans on their managing the forest on their property, that we could review them with an eye towards, are they working towards, are they factoring in sort of protection for carbon sequestration or whatever they're doing. So we could factor it in a review of that, as an example.
All right, well, food for thought. I don't want to, get
Yeah.
in.
No, it's been a topic on my head for a few years, and just haven't had time to see what other towns have been doing and what's practical. So that makes sense for us to try to do. But yeah, no, if you in your time too, there's places to go on, look online, or look at the MACC where you could find out about some of that. Any other comments at the moment? Okay, in that case, Joyce, one last chance for anything that we didn't touch on. Okay. we don't have any announcements that I could think of other than talking about climate action. There is a draft climate action plan out there for the town. People can read that, and there are some issues. In fact, one of the recommended actions in that is to incorporate climate action into the regulations of the planning board, Board of Health, Conservation Commission, and other groups. But that's a document that's out there but you'd have to send in comments by June 18th. But that'll come back before everybody and as a document that we'll see whether the town approves, and then when the town starts embarking on implementing the plan, deal with climate change. That's my one announcement. Okay. Nothing else. I move to adjourn at 9:17.
Second.
That took a long time. I'm surprised. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I. Steve.
Aye.
Kurt.
Aye.
Courtney.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Okay, everybody, have a good time. Have a good July 4th between now and then. And until then, and I'll hopefully get some work on the regs done to folks beforehand. Thank you and good night.